Okay, so welcome everyone to, this is the overview for the XchangePoint 6.3 product release. My name is Bobby Middleton. I'm responsible for product operations here at PharmaPoint, and more specifically everything to do with XchangePoint. What we're really going to try to do with these calls moving forward, this is really the first of its kind, but what we really, our desire and vision for this is really to turn this into more of a quarterly community-focused call where hopefully I'm turning the microphone over to more of you guys and gals who are out in the field doing new and exciting things with XchangePoint for your pharmacies and for your patients. The big thing that we're most excited about with this release is really the fact that probably 90% of what's included with this came directly from all of you. So all of our customers and users out in the field who give feedback to us on a routine basis. So we appreciate that, and again, obviously want to encourage that more and more as we go forward. So you guys have a little bit more insight about what we do and the way we think about XchangePoint, trying to drive really the right interventions for, you know, all of our patients at the right time. I thought this slide would be a good opportunity for everybody to see. When we spend time at XchangePoint trying to build out some of the platform to support you in the field, you'll know that these are some of the primary things we're focused on. Obviously in the middle, we're trying to achieve these goals from a pharmacy's perspective, primarily, where we obviously improve outcomes, lower readmissions, less med errors, increase safety and satisfaction for our patients, and obviously drive more revenue and profit to the pharmacies that we're operating on behalf. But as you guys see when we go through this, a lot of the updates that we'll be doing around on the product will have to do with some of these three primary areas that we've got identified here on the screen. And again, if you guys get a chance to go on mute, if you're still in a busy location, please do so. So how are we doing? This is the thing that we'll come back for on a quarterly basis to see. You know, there are a lot of things we're doing, but we're going to be focused on how are we impacting some of these things and how are our customers doing with the product in the field. That is going to bring us to this slide that we're going to come back to again every time we have these calls to see, you know, how many patients have we actually processed through XchangePoint platform, medication histories we've run, bedside deliveries, consultations, you know, pharmacy-led transitions of care calls made. But really what matters is in the middle, and so far the results that we've seen our customers perform have been staggering. So we have a lot of our organizations attesting to a significant increase in their medication errors on admission, and even beyond that, a significant reduction in readmission rate. So one of the things, and I'm an Ernest Hemingway fan, everybody may not be, but this is a little bit of a spotlight in time for me over my past year. I'm coming up on 1 year with the team here at XchangePoint, which has been a wonderful year. And one of the things I've reminded myself is spend a lot of time listening and spending as much time as I can, whether it be on the phone or on the road, with some of you that are probably on the phone today. Likely if I haven't visited your facility or talked to your teams or your organizations directly, I'd be surprised. But obviously I've been inspired by what I've heard from our users and our customers and our leaders in the pharmacy world as it relates to really trying to integrate pharmacy into care. So that's another reason that's so exciting to us about this release. Again, so much of what we're doing here in this release came directly from you all, which is exciting stuff. All right, so what we've completed, I'll get into more of the meat of the presentation here, and we'll give you guys a chance to not only see some of the new features at a high level, but we'll also dive into the product for a bit for you guys to see and to give you some information about how you can move forward with some of these things. Like I said, roughly 90% of what we did in this release are related to things that came directly from you all. What we've completed this release, you guys will see an update on a way you can quickly dive into a prescription assistance platform directly from XchangePoint. Some of the things that we did with the workflow and the work list to provide some enhancements and easier visibility specifically for our technicians out there. Some feedback from more of our quality-based folks on a patient risk score report. We've continued to add options as it relates to some of our opt-in documentation for bedside delivery when folks are either able to connect or not able to connect, or if they decline or reasons they were missed, where you all can continue to gather the type of feedback and insights you need as you're out there doing your job on a daily basis. We'll get into a little bit more about what we're doing, but there's a lot of, we've obviously already started our next release, which we intend on updating the platform every quarter or so. So you guys can kind of expect that from us. And again, you'll be receiving kind of routine communications from us on how you can sign up for the next webinar. So what's new? One of the things that we received especially a lot from some of our friends that are in the transitions of care world, which it's not only the only case that they need it, but a lot of folks were using Needy Meds or other platforms to say, hey, when we're engaging in patients, whether it be, hey, we just opted somebody in for bedside delivery, but they're concerned about affordability for a set of medications that we're giving them, or if it's in a transition to care setting where they've reached out and they figured out that a patient hasn't filled the specific prescription because of what we've been able to see in their medication history, we're able to dive in there and help them out a little bit. So I'm providing a little bit for you guys about, we've chosen to use an organization called Needy Meds. I've provided a little bit of information about them in the presentation, which you guys will all get a copy of when we're done. But essentially you're going to be able to directly dive into the Needy Meds portal anytime you need to, regardless of where you are in XchangePoint. So what I'll do real quickly is I'm going to pass control over to Geeta for just a second, because she's actually going to show you guys how we do that.
Thank you, Bobby.
Yep.
So I'm going to share my content now. So can everybody see my screen?
Yep.
Yes. Thank you. So this is Geeta Tulasiraman. I'm the Director of Software Development at XchangePoint. So Needy Meds, as Bobby mentioned, is a newly added feature, and you can access this feature right over here on the gray menu bar, and it has a tooltip saying Needy Meds. So Needy Meds, as Bobby said, is a premier source of information on all types of programs that assists patients who cannot afford their medication costs or other healthcare costs. So when you click on the Needy Meds, it directly takes you to the site, and here you can type in any drug name. For example, I'm going to type in Eliquis and search up that drug. So when you click on that drug, it provides you a lot of assistance programs like the patient assistance program or coupons, rebates, and more.
Like we said, we're going to have to extrapolate a little bit with your data to set up the training, the data we train on. But let me just get in there and look around and see what I can figure out. But I think knowing specifics about what exactly we're trying to predict, if it's building a lifetime value model, it's predicting, I don't know. You have such good data.
Yeah. Well, I think that would be a good place to start, the lifetime value.
Okay.
And and then I think, doesn't that kind of go hand in hand with attrition? Likelihood to leave or go to another. And is that? I know that's.
I think they're always two different models. So, but yeah, I think that an attrition score might even be used in your CLV model. So.
Yeah.
Geeta, are you still on? Because we're hearing someone else.
Yeah, I'm not sure who's speaking right now.
Oh, this is Lexi.
Just go ahead. I think somebody's speaking. Maybe they're having another conversation here. We probably ought to move forward.
Okay, I'm sorry. I thought somebody had some input over here. So when I clicked on that Eliquis tablet, it provides a list of programs available and also the eligibility requirements for those programs. I'll show you when I click on this program, it shows me it shows me some coupons which you can click and give it to the patient, and some checklists for the provider and the patient, and also the application form for that particular program. So this is in brief about the needy meds. And again, this needy meds is available to user if we offer that, if we assign that privilege to the user. So if you need them, please reach out to Bobby or to me or at customersupport@pharmapoint.com, and we'll be more than happy to assign it to those users. Any questions?
Thanks, Geeta.
Sure.
So back to what Geeta mentioned there, we'll get in a little deeper too, and some of these will be with some of our user access and security. You guys will give you some instruction on how to connect with us to either get access for specific individuals to some of these, or even in some cases where it relates to some of our new security features that you'll actually get a little onboarding session with. So thanks for that, Geeta. And you guys will see I put we have this little unlocked icon related to some of these that'll give you a little bit of insight to one of the ones that have associated security features around them that they need to be specifically assigned to individuals. So moving on, next on that we have some new reporting additions, and we're going to go into those a little bit as well. But the 4 key ones we have, again, the top one on the patient risk score report became a big request for us. A lot of the folks in quality who not only are using the XchangePoint to target specific patient populations already, but we're looking for more historical data to look at where are other opportunities that are high-risk patients that we're not engaging in some of these interventions today. So really that's the goal around that, which you guys will see in just a minute. The other one was prior pharmacy interactions, meaning, have we had a patient that's come through one of our facilities that's already had bedside delivery or a consultation or a med history and reconciliation on admission or post-discharge outreach call that we can continue to do analysis on as well. Again, this is the key part of this is the ability to, so you can look back and say, hey, did we miss an opportunity for an interaction with a patient that we could have had, and if we get a chance to engage with them again, that we actually get it done. Patients discharged after pharmacy hours, you guys could probably understand that. I mean, there's the macro version of that with what would it look like if we expanded our hours of the pharmacy to engage with more patients, whether for bedside delivery and consultation opportunities, but it also can provide more of the micro view of, hey, did we miss something critical from a care perspective because we didn't have the pharmacy opened at that time. The final is the user access report, which gets more into some of our new user administration and security features that we'll get into as well. But really, that's now the ability for our customers themselves to be able to track, appropriateness of access down to a specific role type that can be delegated to a user. So, Geeta, if you'll kind of take control back again, and you can kind of walk everyone through these new reports
Sure, Bob.
live.
Sure, Bob.
Awesome.
Thank you. Share my content. Okay, so click back on the vaccine. So the first report is the risk score report. So this report shows a list of patients currently admitted in the target location and have a high or medium risk score of getting readmitted. So we only show the medium and high risk score. So the patients with high risk score will show with a red triangle and an exclamation mark, and they have a risk score equal to or greater than 10. And the patients with medium risk score will show with a yellow triangle with an exclamation mark, and they have a risk score ranging from 5 to 9. We do not show the low risk score because it will show all the patients who are currently admitted in the target location. So let me just click on this patient with a high risk score, and then it shows the patient profile with the risk score number assigned to the patient. And when you click on that risk score, it takes in the details that help us calculate this risk score. So the risk score is a combination of LACE and TRAN score. These are industry standard calculations based on their length of stay, their acuity of admission, their comorbidities, their emergency department visits, and their demographic information like poverty level, race, age, and marital status, and sex. So this patient has a high risk score, and that's why it has a red status bar with 16 assigned to the patient. This is all about the risk score report. Anybody have any questions regarding this report? Excellent. So let's.
When is this going into effect?
I'm sorry. Could you please repeat it?
When is this going into effect?
So these reports we have in our current release, and if you would like to have this assigned to your profile, please let us know. Send an email to Bobby or myself or customer support at pharmapoint.com. I believe Bobby is going to send this deck to everyone who has attended the webinar, and you'll have this information in the deck. Does that answer your question?
Yes. Thank you.
You're welcome. So let's look at the prior pharmacy interactions report. This is a demo environment for information. So we have few patients populated for the demo purpose. So the prior pharmacy interaction is again basically to help the technicians to identify patients who have had prior interactions with the meds to beds program. Currently, we are only showing opt-in and bedside delivery if the patient has had them. So this shows currently the patients in the hospital and what was the prior interaction date you see over here, and also shows the, sorry, let me go back to the report. Also shows the person who had performed that interaction. So this was requested by many of our users, and we have added this to our current release. So this is all about prior pharmacy interactions. Please stop me if you have any questions, or I'll move to the next report. The next report is about the patients discharged after pharmacy hours. So like Bobby mentioned, to find out any patients whom we did not approach and what was the reason. usually we see the patients are discharged after hours. So this shows a list of patients who have been discharged between the date range from to, between these 2 dates, all the patients who were discharged and were discharged after hours. So if you are not sure what the pharmacy working hours, if you go to the settings and click on pharmacy time. This is something new we have added in this release, and if you click on the pharmacy time, it shows the pharmacy working hours of your pharmacy. If you see anything not right, please let us know. If you think the pharmacy hours is wrongly stated here, please let us know and we will update the timing or the days.
So Geeta, like if we were to be closed on a holiday, is that something we would notify you and you can have that set for a particular day, or is it something that's just a one-off situation, we couldn't change it?
That's actually, Lexi, it's a one-off situation. So we do it for the whole, it's from Monday through Sunday, So when we have the reports done over here, you could request David to help you with that.
Okay.
Awesome. So that's a good question, Lexi.
Thank you.
So that's about discharge after pharmacy hours. And the next is the user access report, which Bobby was mentioning. It's basically offered to the enterprise admin. So let me log in as a enterprise admin first to show you that report. So this report basically shows what access each user has in that facility. So I am going to choose one user over here, and I'm going to click on the view report. This report shows what are the default facility and what is the default target, and which locations this user has access to. If he has multiple targets and multiple facilities, it will display all those facilities and targets and locations, and also shows what are the screen access. For example, some of you might not have access to the dashboards, but some may have. So it goes to that detail level and shows all the access the user has. And again, this report is available only to the enterprise admin.
And we will get you guys into a little bit more insight about the user administration and security access in a second. But Geeta, I thought one thing, since we already have the application up, before we transition back into a little overview about the user administration, maybe we could just go ahead and go over the work list enhancements we did for opt-in.
Yeah.
And I'll explain to everybody while Geeta is transitioning to the MedAction portion of the console. Really what we did here is update the work list so specifically the technicians could have quick access into number of attempts for opt-in on the the kind of front end of the screen without needing to dive in any deeper into the patient profile when they're quickly doing rounds. It's one of the things that you guys will hear as a theme for us going forward is this is an initial change, but what we're looking to do with more of our work lists in general is provide more flexibility as you all see opportunities to bring things forward to the work list level where you can add and remove over time. So that's one of the things we'll be working on the product a little later this year is where, the columns represented here can be customized a little bit more based on your needs, because I think everybody has a little bit different need. But a lot of them for opt-ins is to see, hey, if this is a high priority of patients and we've attempted to opt them in several times, can we get an at-a-glance view of that to see if there's a chance for us to really intervene or move on to other patients. But go ahead, Geeta.
Yes, so that's about the added new column in the opt-in work list. As requested by many of our users, we added the attempt column where the pharmacy manager can have an informed information about the productivity of the technicians in the hospital. So instead of clicking on the patient and looking into the patient profile and the document page, if any attempts were made, so we are now providing that information at a glance in the opt-in work list. So this is the new column, attempts made. And again, you can sort them when you click on the column. So that is the additional change we made in the opt-in work list. And regarding, yes, Lexi.
Sorry. So I see where we added the attempts. So if we click on the individual patients, will it still show the different attempts logged at the bottom, like the time and what the reasons were that they didn't obtain a yes or no?
I am not sure. Let's look. No, we didn't add that in the bottom. You have to go again look into the documentation. So we just add, because we couldn't add that in the opt-in work list, but if you need to add it to the patient profile for attempted, we could do that. We could add that to our backlog.
Okay.
Is that something you would like to be added to the patient profile?
I think so, and we can talk about it offline.
Okay, I'll make a note of it. The next thing I would like to highlight is about the login information. So some of the users had requested for a shorter user ID instead of typing in their long email ID. So we have added this login key, which is 8-digit or 8-character login key. And this is available in the My Profile under Settings. So the user can log in with the login key or their email ID and the password to log in. So this is another user administration changes we had done according to the request from most of our users. I hope this will be a useful or an easier way to log into the application. I know some of the email IDs are pretty long, and when the application locks you out within 15 minutes, you have to type in the long email ID.
Hey, Geeta, I have a question. Is that, can it just be letters, or does it have to be letters and numbers in there, or just 8 characters?
This has to be 8 characters, and this is system generated, so you cannot change this. This is generated by the system.
Okay.
All right, Geeta, I'm going to step everybody back through the user administration stuff for just a second, and then we'll get into that because I think there's probably a lot to cover there. So everyone a little bit, and Geeta will spend some time going through this in detail because I think one of the more significant things that we did this release as it relates to feature and function is to start turning on some of the quote-unquote user administration access and security controls to who I would call a super user and administrator at our customer site. So you guys can decide who credentials users and adds them and provisions them and gives certain rights kind of on the fly as you need them, which is exciting. But the real thing here is we have a lot of flexibility with what we can do. So what we'll be doing that you guys will see from us, and I'm including this in the deck kind of back to what Geeta mentioned earlier, is along with some of these new features that we have that can be activated or deactivated based on a specific user's profile, we'll also get up, once you all have identified the user administrator for XchangePoint, we're actually going to set up kind of individual onboarding sessions for you all for the super user. So I doubt it'll take 30 minutes. We're asking you guys to allocate that much time to do it. It may take less. But back to kind of what Geeta mentioned before is if you guys can send an email to the customer support email just to request the onboarding session after we identify who's going to be the user administrator for your organization. We'll set up some time, get them up to speed really easy. It's simple to use, which Geeta will go through here in a minute. But the key thing here is, as you all can probably understand, is as more of you have grown and expanded and looked for other members of the team in your organization to use XchangePoint for different reasons, this way you can provision that in a way that's real simple and streamlined and obviously secure, tying all the way back into that reporting feature we showed you before, where it's always clear who has access to what screens, what kind of data, what workflow, which are obviously real important to everyone. So Geeta's going to walk through that in a little bit more detail, but I wanted to give you guys a little bit of context. And one, this is a pretty big feature because there are a lot of things that can be done as it relates to how we provision these users, so we thought it would be most appropriate for us to schedule some time with you all individually to get the super user up to speed, and that way everybody's fully prepared to go out there and start provisioning users. So Geeta, you can go ahead and take control back.
Okay, thank you, Bobby.
And then after this, we'll have a little bit more time for Q&A too.
Okay, so I am going to log out and log in as an enterprise admin. Okay, so the enterprise admin will have the ability to add a user, edit an existing user. So when the enterprise admin logs in, they can see the list of users in their facility, and they can either activate or inactivate a current user by just clicking on this hyperlink. For example, when I clicked on this user, it'll ask, are you sure you want to inactivate this user? I say, okay. They get inactivated, or you did it by mistake and you want to activate them back, click on that hyperlink and it will activate that user back up. And this is also the portal where you can add new users, and you'll see the list of fields that you need to fill in, and they are marked with red asterisk or red star, meaning that they are mandatory columns. And their email ID and login ID, they are the same. But if you need another backup email, of course, it should be your work email, and you want another email ID, you can enter something else. But in reality, we do the same. And then the login key is populated, it's a system-populated 8-character field. And the password, it gives you a queue. It should be 9 characters long, and it should contain at least 1 uppercase, 1 lowercase, and 1 special character, and 1 number. So let me click on one of the user and show you what are the things besides these information that is required to activate a user. So first, you'll have to assign privileges to the user. So the user could have roles or screens. So if you click on roles, you can get either a pharmacist or a technician. This is demo. In the production, we have pharmacist and non-pharmacist roles. So when you click on a pharmacist, the screens will automatically populate to certain number of certain screens like bedside consultation and med reconciliation. And if it's a technician, bedside consultation will not be assigned to that user. So these are pertaining to the actual screens allowed for that facility. So the enterprise admin can use what dashboards to be assigned to a user, what is the default dashboard for each module. For example, for dashboards, I want my executive dashboard to be my default screen whenever I click on dashboards. So we have multiple modules over here. We have modules for emergency, infusion, med-action, med-transition, miscellaneous. Miscellaneous is with regards to needy meds, patient adherence, RX guide, and so on and so forth. And we have multiple reports. Again, we have default screen for each module. I will go in length. I'll explain all this in detail when we have a one-to-one meeting with each identified enterprise admins for each facility. After the screens are assigned to the user, we have to assign a target to the user. For example, enterprise might have multiple facilities, and each facility might have multiple targets. So you could assign all the targets of an enterprise to the user or restrict to only one or two targets to a certain user. So this is, in short, about the user administration. We can have this assigned to any identified user of your facility. So send us an email and we will get it started. Do you have any questions on this?
One of the things, and Geeta, I'll take back control here for just a second. One of the main things that some of you all may be asking about now, we certainly will. One of the natural things that comes along with this is questions about what we're going to do with Active Directory or LDAP. So for any organizations that use some of that type of single sign-on functionality, that is something we're absolutely interested in working on a little bit later this year. But now that we've got the structure in place that is role-based, like Geeta mentioned, that does align with some of the things that you're likely using as single sign-on via Active Directory in your organizations today. So that's another one of the things that we'll be working on. So I'm going to stop right there and open it up for Q&A for a few minutes, and then I've got a few closing comments after that. But we'll stop right here and take some questions if you guys have some.
Bobby, you might have
Yep.
said this on the Needy Med. Does it also take you to like patient assistant programs?
That's correct. Yeah, under each one of those, and I'll elaborate a little bit more on that too for folks who are interested in Needy Meds. Really, our goal that it's patient assistance oriented. There's documentation for patient assistance and the coupons that Geeta showed earlier. But we're really interested in more feedback as it relates to that as well. We've done a very simple integration to date to get a little feedback from our users about how the use of it is most beneficial and if there's ways we can integrate it into your workflow to make it easier to use. So that's it's a good chance for you all to get your feet wet with using Needy Meds as an example. There's some other tools, but really is if there's content in there that's useful to you and there's ways that you'd like to see it more automated, that's another piece that we're certainly interested in your feedback in that we'll be looking for, especially probably on our next call when we look to get more feedback on how you guys are using it in the field.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Question.
Yep.
So when we do the TOC call, moving from one patient to another, it takes quite a long time. Do you think the new enhancer would kind of like make it move a little faster?
Yeah, well, I mean, Geeta, I'll let you answer that a little bit, but are you talking about when you go between each one, like you finish a call, move to another patient?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it takes forever for it to load.
Okay. And we can also check some of your network performance as well to look into that. But
yeah, it's just like it's spinning and it takes at least like 1 or 2 minutes each patient.
And it certainly shouldn't do that because I know when we tested it doesn't. So we'll make a note of that and reach back out to you guys because it may just be network performance there because that's really fast. In a normal environment. But it's a good question as well because one of the things we try to do with every release, we perform a full regression test. So Geeta and her team are constantly focused on performance overall, so it's rare that we have a release that we haven't improved overall speed and efficiency to some extent. So we'll look into that too, but for it taking that long, I would assume that has something to do with the network you're on too, but we can check into that.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Hey, Bobby, it's Christy from Edward
Hey.
Pharmacy. Can the
How are
nurses
you?
and case managers use this system for the patients as well?
They can. They can, absolutely. Yeah, we have more, and that's the interesting thing, Christy. We've got more and more interest from a case management perspective, and different organizations are calling them different things. You know, we have some organizations where LPNs are set up to be engaged in a transition to care programs, and sometimes they're intermingled with pharmacists or technicians both.
Mm-hmm.
So we do not, you know, we don't discriminate against who wants to use the product as long as they're engaged in these programs. They likely understand the workflow just as much as anybody else. So back to Geeta's point about the user administration, if you guys have got case managers who can make use of the tool, just let us know and we can get them set up and credentialed.
Okay, is this also available for the oncology department? Because a lot of our patients in the cancer center do not have insurance.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. Yeah, we can set them up as a non-pharmacy user per some of these new roles that we mentioned before. And we can give them the rights, like to the needy meds piece for. And the same thing, the same principle applies to XchangePoint everywhere. So if the oncology department just wants to look at and target their patients, we'll put them in that individual's work list.
Okay, because I know we have some pharmacists and inpatient that could benefit from that too, because they help with the case managers and social workers helping get, you know, financials done before the patients leave our facility as well. So I think that'll benefit a lot of our staff here.
Excellent. Okay, well, we'll get them set up.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions, guys and gals?
Actually, I have one more.
Okay. All right,
There's one thing that I've been asking for a while. I didn't see. I missed the first part of the call. I was on a unit.
Okay.
What would benefit us the most here is if we can see if our patients have used bedside delivery in the past.
Yeah, we do have that.
Is that on there?
So the previous, now I'm going to forget the name that we called it, Christy, but
it's prior pharmacy interactions.
Prior pharmacy interactions. I knew Geeta was going to keep me honest. But I'm going to, like I mentioned before, everybody will get a kind of a PDF version of this presentation.
Okay.
That will have all that in there as well. But that's another one we will need to give folks access to. But absolutely, that prior pharmacy interventions report is a great planning tool, and I think that's your feedback and others. I think has been useful for us to get that in the product for sure.
Okay, sounds good. I'll look forward to that then.
Good.
I also have a question.
Yeah, good.
Sometimes no information generates in Exchange, and I don't know if it's because of the middle name, because sometimes we can see it in SureScripts but not in Exchange. And I emailed, and I got an email back saying that, I think it was from Geeta, saying that it was going to be looked into, and it was months ago, and we never got a response.
Okay.
Is that like part of the update? Was that looked into?
Well, one of the things that we're always doing with SureScripts, and it's another example here where we're continuing to improve the access we have to that network overall. But that's definitely some kind of weird operational defect that we'll certainly dig into. The main thing, if you guys let me know too, and all my contact information will be on here. If there's another issue come up and always don't ever hesitate to call as well, but hit our customer support line as well, and we'll take a look into that quickly, because sometimes that's timing of when it actually hits the network. But if you were able to see it in SureScripts, you should be able to see it in XchangePoint. You shouldn't have to go both places.
I'm sorry, Bobby. Who's this asking this question? Yeah.
Sorry.
From Edward.
Edward, and Can I know your name, please?
Yvette?
Oh, okay. I think, we have had that situation, and we did talk to SureScripts, and they gave us some of the causes that could have happened. I'm sorry if I didn't respond back to that email, but if that happens again, please reach out to me or Bobby or the customer support.
Yeah, it's good. It's good timing, Yvette, because Geeta actually just got off a phone call with SureScripts earlier today, where we're looking to kind of improve the speed of response when there are issues on their network like that. So don't hesitate to pick up the phone and call us or ping us, because we'll certainly respond.
Okay. And then also, we're seeing, like, we didn't see it before, but on the day supplies, when it says 0 on there, does that mean that it didn't get filled, or what does that mean when the day supply says 0?
Recently, we did get an email from SureScripts that there were some issues with the day supply, and they are fixing it. If it was 0, that means they send it as 0. They don't have a number on it. That's why it came in as 0.
I'm sorry, can you repeat that?
So SureScripts also had an issue from some of the PBMs. They were sending some decimal values with the day supply, and it came across as 0 to us. So there was an issue with the transmission of the data. So they are working on that to fix it. But if there are any more cases you see it as 0, please send it across, and we will investigate it.
But it doesn't mean that it didn't get filled.
No.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Those are all great questions, and like I mentioned to everybody, going forward, I really want to turn this call into, we're certainly going to continue to update everybody on the new features that we have, but we'll be looking to turn the page to hear more from you all about things you're doing or things you want to do, because really our goal for this would be to convert this much more to a community call for, all you folks out in the field who are trying to make an impact with your organizations out of the pharmacies. And so that really is kind of one of my calls to action, the road ahead for us in general. I'm also going to share a little bit about things going on at PharmaPoint, so you guys kind of have this, and again, you'll have access to this as well. Take a look at the current state of the industry that we have, a video out that you guys will see where our CEO Mike is talking a little bit about things that he's learned and we've all learned as it relates to where the organization, where we're trying to go to continue to support the healthcare industry at large. I mean, the short summary is, the great news is we've got more medications available than we ever have. The difficult part is how we manage new therapies when we've got increasing complexity of the meds in the field. But if you get a chance, go out and check out Mike on our YouTube channel that I'm giving you guys a link with here. You guys, we're focused on continuing to build more online content. I'll send out links to our new training and educational guides that we have for both our Med Action and Med Transition consoles. We're going to start putting more kind of short how-to videos into the help section of XchangePoint. We've built an online knowledge base that I'll continue to ping you all about feedback on and how well we're doing. Lots of stuff our team here keeps posted on social media, so I'll send out the links to that for all you folks that are keyed into the social media world. But we've got a lot of exciting things in our roadmap going ahead this year. Like I mentioned, some embedded training videos, integrations and orders and lab results specifically, so folks can get better insights into what's going on with the patient. Continuing to upside bedside delivery documentation, and we're doing a lot of work with some of the pharmacy management system companies out there to continue to make those integrations more seamless, where we can have more real-time status updates of actually what's going on from a field perspective in the outpatient pharmacy that's associated with all these programs we're trying to drive with XchangePoint. So that's been super positive so far. We're excited about everything that's going on there. We've again, here's some fun little social media links that you guys will see from everybody. But try to keep up with us via social media. We're always trying to exchange some interesting content out there, either where we are or things that we're seeing in the industry, so you kind of know what we're up to. But if you have any other questions, don't hesitate to reach out to me, to ping customer support. You all heard from Geeta today, but we're all really excited primarily about the impact all you are having these days with the product out in the field, and look forward to our next meeting. Hopefully we'll get on the books in the next few months to talk about more features and more value that we're sticking into XchangePoint that you can go out and take to your patients. But your feedback is critical to us. I appreciate everybody taking the time to be here. We are going to record this so you can distribute it to your colleagues and team members out there that need a chance to look at it, but we'll also distribute the deck. And with that, unless there are any other questions, we'll kind of adjourn for the day. All right. I hope everybody has a great day. Thanks for joining, and we'll look forward to seeing you next time.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.